do you call a man who does not play by his own rules? A tyrant, a hypocrite, a maverick, a cheater. How do you call a god who does the exact same thing? Jehovah. And let's wait 5 seconds. Okay, now that all the people who didn't bother watching the video have gone to the comments section without as much as hearing a word I have to say, let's actually examine a little thing called the Bible and, using the passages from it, see which of the 7 deadly sins are committed by the God the Bible promotes. And just as a challenge to myself, I decided to not make any claims that aren't at least somewhat substantiated by the Bible. Sure, I will go on a few tangents and a few what-ifs and a few logical leaps, but I cannot make a case based solely on them. Also, keep in mind, I am just a cat. And if you think I'm interpreting the Bible wrong, correct me in the comments section, but rule, you have to provide the source and the context for your correction. If it turns out I made enough mistakes, I might even address them in a follow-up video. In no particular order, we have wrath, greed, sloth, envy, pride, gluttony, and lust. Right off the bat, we can easily clear wrath. We have Adam and Eve cast out from the Garden of Eden because they disobeyed a single commandment that God has put on them. And on top of that, we have the Sodom and Gomorrah story. And I'm quoting out of the Bible.
Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry of the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughter. He said, "Hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city." But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters out who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished."
God is willing to level a city because he doesn't like a few of the people there. If that's not tyrannical, I don't know what is. True, these people are sinners. This doesn't change the fact that in his wrath, God was willing to rain down fire upon them and everyone around them, and anyone who tries to look back and reminisce about their former home is gonna die on the spot as a warning. Either that or be locked in a prison for eternity. Does anyone have to scream in the audience, other than for my frustration? Ha! Joke's on you, I don't even care about sex! And even still, what's next? Killing off all of the humanity because damn gays having too much sex out there! What a ridiculous concept. Oh. Right. Okay, how about greed? Well, I wanted to tackle the topic of animal sacrifices. I mean, what's the reasoning behind them? So, let's read from Moses 5:5-7. "And he gave unto them commandments that they should worship the Lord their God, and should offer the firstlings of their flocks for an offering unto the Lord. And Adam was obedient unto the commandments of the Lord. And after many days an angel of the Lord appeared unto Adam, saying, Why dost thou offer sacrifices unto the Lord? And Adam said unto him, I know not, save the Lord commanded me. And then the angel spake, This thing is a similitude of the sacrifice of the only begotten of the Father, which is full of grace and truth." Why does God need them?
What does God need with a starship?
He doesn't need to eat, he doesn't need to drink, he doesn't need their souls to sustain himself with. He doesn't even have a dick, so how could he masturbate to the slaughter of animals even if that was his fetish? There is no justifiable reason here. But since I still have my doubts, let's look at something else, like Numbers 10. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your appointed feasts, and in the first days of your months, you shall blow the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings. And they shall be a reminder of you before your God. I am the Lord your God. Okay, so God doesn't get anything material out of it. He gets a feeling of power and superiority. It may not be a craving for goods, but for power. And because I'm as lazy as God, allow me to play this.
This woman said to me, "Give up your son so that we may eat him today, and tomorrow we'll eat my son."
That's a reasonable request. That's fine.
That's bad planning, though. You'll see why. So we cooked my son and ate him.
Whoa!
Yeah.
There was no lead into that whatsoever. She's like, we cooked him.
Yep.
He was good. He was fine.
Yeah. The next day I said to her, "Give up your son so that we may eat him," but she had hidden him.
Well, no shit.
See, what they should have done if this was like a well thought out plan, we'll kill both our sons, cook them both, and then
Save one.
and then one of us, actually they don't even need each other for this transaction. Let's just both kill our sons and eat them. We'll get the same amount of meat. When the king heard the woman's words, he tore his robes. As he went along the wall, the people looked, and they saw that under his robes he had sackcloth on his body. He said, "May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if the head of Elisha, son of Shaphat, remains on his shoulders today."
What?
He's blaming Elisha for the retribution that Aram is laying upon them.
Right, because he didn't murder them.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
But the good guys are eating babies.
Yeah.
So can we talk about that for a fucking second?
Okay.
The good guys are eating babies and God's not smiting them.
Now Elisha was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him. The king sent a messenger ahead, but before he arrived, Elisha said to the elders, "Don't you see how this murderer is sending someone to cut off my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold it shut against it. Is not the sound of his master's footsteps behind him?" While he was still talking to them, the messenger came down to him. The king said, "This disaster is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer?" He's not wrong. God is sitting by idly and saying, "I could stop this immediately. Clearly I have no qualms about blinding enemies whenever. It's just that I kind of want to see people starve and eat their babies."
Yeah. Like, why? It's so weird to give God credit when this works out and then also be like, but it wasn't his fault when he was letting them eat babies, even though he could fire a tornado everyone around that city and take care of it. And he could manna them.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have manna still? He did that before for a long, 40 years.
Please don't DMCA me. The case is pretty clear. God, through inaction, has caused the deaths of at least one child when he could have easily done 100 things. He could have made manna fall from the sky. He could have multiplied food just like Jesus would in the New Testament. He could have destroyed the sieging armies. Or he could have made eating babies a prospect so revolting that they'd rather eat donkey ass. Due to the Lord's lazy ass, a kid's dead. Even though this could have easily been prevented if only God wasn't guilty of sloth. You know, you'd think that cooperation to achieve a common goal would be something God would be behind. But apparently God hates the feelings of accomplishment, camaraderie, and healthy cooperation. From Genesis 11. Now the world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let us make bricks and make them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said,
If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other.
So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. So what's the justification here? Nothing! God gives us nothing to support his side! Here he is literally a bully, just fucking with people so they don't accomplish anything! His reasoning? Nah, I didn't wanna. So here, he's either afraid we're gonna accomplish something without his divine ours helping us, he's bored of his divine ours, he's jealous of our accomplishments and doesn't want us to get anywhere, or he's trying to show off his power but making us look bad in comparison when we would have achieved something pretty damn impressive. Or he just hates humanity. I mean, even if we go by the humanity was trying to rise into the heavens and attain power mythos, it still shows that God was completely unwilling to let us have it. And that's assuming they would ascend to godhood, which might not even be the case. How do we know humanity wouldn't achieve a level of intelligence like, say, the Protoss? In that case, God just comes off as a manipulative freak that is afraid to let us have anything to ourselves except what he gives us. And if you want to say humanity would have used this power for evil, well, guess what, dipshit? We're using sticks and stones for evil. The only thing that would have changed would be using heavier sticks and sharper stones. Either that or spaceships and photon cannons. We already cannot be trusted. If anything, having higher intelligence might allow us to better evaluate situations and expand our feeling of compassion and empathy beyond anything God let us do. You guys know Moses, right? Found in a basket, raised as the Pharaoh's son, killed a guy, exiled, brought back plagues to fuck the Pharaoh over, and forced him to let his people go by softening him up. Well, the Pharaoh was actually willing to go for a compromise. From Exodus 10. Then the Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, "Go, worship the Lord. Even your women and children may go with you. Only leave your flocks and herds behind." But Moses said, "You must allow us to have sacrifices and burnt offerings to present to the Lord our God. Our livestock too must go with us. Not a hoof is to be left behind. We have to use some of them in worshipping of our Lord God. And until we get there, we will not know what we are to use to worship the Lord." But the Lord hardened the Pharaoh's heart, and he was not willing to let them go. Pharaoh said to Moses, "Get out of my sight! Make sure you do not appear before me again. The day you see my face, you will die." Allow me to repeat that. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. God literally trapped his own people on purpose. And what happens next? A bunch more plagues, a bunch more people die, and there's even more. This could have ended right there. God was about as willing to compromise as Boss in Saints Row 2. And just to prove the point, he decided to fuck with the guy on top, caused too many unnecessary deaths, and if only someone was willing to talk things through, maybe there would have been some compromise. No, he just said, "Why am I rolling Saints Row 2 footage? Switch to the Bible stuff." He just had to kill some dudes, just to prove a point. If that's not a sign of pride, if that's not a cut and dry case of having an ego so bloated that you make Vegeta look modest, there's something not right with you.
The f***'s a commie?
Basically, God.
But I'm still here!
Do you really believe your own hype that much?
I am the hype!
I'm gonna be honest, I could not find anything to support gluttony or lust. And even though normally I would conflate gluttony with greed since this is what people would have done, I cannot do the same thing for a god who doesn't need to eat. And there is basically nothing that would make God into a porno producer. So I'm gonna have to leave those two alone. for now. Still, 5 out of 7, eh? That's more than a half. And 4 more than necessary. No, I can't recommend any other religion videos on my channel because at this point this is the first one. But maybe I can interest you with some feminism. And if you don't want to open that kind of worms, I got reviews and canons for you. Go on, I know you want to click it. Give into the harmless temptation of watching another one of my videos. In fact, why don't you just go ahead and commit the cardinal sin of subscribing to my channel in case I release a new video on one day. Come on, it's gonna be fun.